our struggle, our reign. When you see ADAMA, you see unbridled black excellence. Man, my car doesn't talk.
Visual presentation that went along with the poem that you heard for the introduction, but we'll get past that. My name is George Galbreath, and I'm one of the founding board members of the African Diaspora Art Museum of Atlanta. We have been doing this work since 2018. We've been in our permanent space here at Pittsburgh Yard since 2023, and it celebrates and elevates the diverse cultural narratives of the African diaspora. So today, we are grateful to have the Youth Artist Program Westlake IB and AP Art students in conversation with their instructor, Mr. George Galbreath. This is our second year that we've had the student exhibition, their end of year show here at ADAMA. And we want to thank and be very vocal about the support that we've received from Dr. Fahamu Paku, ADAMA, and the Atlanta art community as a whole. So with that, I want to introduce first the Youth Artist Program. So in addition to George being an instructor at Westlake High School, back in 2014, he came home, because I'm his wife, and he had some concerns about the breadth and depth of the students' artwork as it pertained to the Governor's Honors Program and their AP portfolio submissions. And he said, I just don't think they're getting the exposure that some of the students on the north side are getting, and I'm noticing a difference in the portfolio work. I said, so what can we do about it? And that is where the Youth Artist Program was born. So it's a 501c3 nonprofit, and we provide high-end art supplies for the students, take them on experiences outside of the classrooms on Saturday afternoons. And it has been an amazing experience to see the students' work grow from those experiences. And so today, Mr. Galbreath will be in conversation with 3 of his current students, but also 2 former students who are now practicing artists in their own right, beautiful, amazing artwork, who also came through the Youth Artist Program some years ago, and we're happy to see the work that they're now doing as adult, thriving artists. With that, a little bit more about George Galbreath. He is the son of a lifelong educator. And when I say he's one of the best teachers I know, I'm not just saying that because he's my husband. My background is engineering and finance, but for the past 10 years, I've been completely immersed in Atlanta's art community. And a lot of that is because of George's work and his tutelage. I see it with his students, and I've seen it with me. And so my love for the arts and the practicing artists and what they bring to our communities and our lives has grown immensely. And I think he demonstrates the same thing in his classroom. So also as a practicing artist, he brings that experience into the classroom for his students, but within his practice, I believe that all of his students offer him something that he takes back with him into his practice. And so it is very much so a symbiotic relationship. And being the wife of an educator, I often get proud teacher wife moments, and this is one of them. So with that, I will turn it over to George Galbreath, and he will engage in conversation with 3 current students, and then later 2 former students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, George Galbreath, and thank you so much to ADAMA for having us today. This is going to be a little weird for us because we're used to these conversations in the privacy of the classroom, but you get a peek in today, so that's a pretty cool thing. Would you all go around and introduce yourself and let them know what grade you're in, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad that you could be here today. I'm Michaela Sellers, and I'm currently a junior at Westlake High School.
I'm Edith Durden, and I'm in 11th grade at Westlake.
Hi, I'm Andrea Harris, and I'm currently a junior at Westlake High School.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so 11th grade is probably my favorite grade, you know, because seniors, it's always sad when they graduate, you know, but so I got y'all for another year. We'll just get right into it. One of the things that I think most of the people in here assume about your generation is that they don't know what you're going through. They don't know what you are interested in. They don't know what the next big thing is. Like, you know, if half of the people in here knew how much we would be on our phones today, they would be surprised by the future, right? So we're living in the future now, right? So when we look at your artwork, we get a glimpse into who you are, right? Can one of you explain what it is you want people to see of you through your artwork? Does anyone have strong feelings about that possibly?
Personally, I find that when I'm making art and I'm sharing it with people, the one thing that I want them to take away from things that I make, and that's like a loaded question, but off the top of my head, I think that if anything, I kind of want people to acknowledge that even though it seems like, you have your average surface level teen, we don't tend to, we're superfluous in nature, and so we don't necessarily take into account the things that are happening around us. I want my art to showcase that that is not true, and that because they say that children are like sponges, and so we are very absorbent, and so I want to display to people that, hey, I'm here and I'm listening, and I possess attention to detail. I know it might not seem like it because I'm a child in the eyes of many, but I'm here. I possess cognitive thought, and I am aware.
I love that answer because sometimes in class I think that y'all are not listening, but you obviously are. Not y'all. Yeah, not y'all specifically. Does anyone else want to address that? What do you think we see of you through your artwork?
I guess like through artwork, people could see that we're like just another like player on the team, like just another person in the art like world and in like the local art space, local to here. And I think that like through art, we can kind of see how people can be similar, or they can be like similar kinds of people, even if they're different ages and stuff. Like you could see two pieces by different people and see how, those people kind of like the same things and stuff. And you could find out that they're like totally different ages, but there's still like the congruence between them. And it's just, I think like, the art spaces and the art world can kind of connect people in that way.
I totally get that. Andrea, what do you think are topics that your generation specifically are dealing with? Can you like shed some light on things that you all would potentially address in your artwork?
So I feel like some really prevalent topics in my generation, definitely maybe like mental health awareness. I like when I look at art from this generation, I see a lot of that being represented, mental health awareness. And I feel like important topics such as those should be represented. Maybe like different rights for different groups of people, like women's rights, cultural rights, things of those like matters. That's what I see in art.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. Because our generation neglected that. So that's why that's why I think so many of you are we're looking at you as a last resort. You need to save us. Okay. All right, cool. I appreciate that. Thank you. Any other topics that you all think folks are dealing with these days?
Maybe like kind of meta, like thinking about oneself as an artist, and thinking about like being an artist compared to all the other artists in the world and stuff. Like, in the study of art, sometimes there's like outsider artists, people who are not within the art world, but I feel like that doesn't exist as much anymore because on social media, there's people who have their own followings and stuff, and different like niches of art that people connect through. And, sometimes like young people can think of themselves as being like, think of themselves from the perspective of like the online world and a wider array of people than just the people around them. And I think that like we can kind of recognize our place as an artist as a result. Like one can consider themselves an artist in, the online groups that they like, and they think of that throughout their life, like I'm the artist like of the class or something like that. It's definitely like considering the idea of having identity as an artist.
Michaela?
I kind of want to piggyback off of that motif of identity. I feel like currently, because we live in such an age where I'd like to think that as we sort of go along the generational, I'm trying to think, like the generational schema, we get steadily more open-minded as the years go on. And so I feel that in this new, 21st century, there's a little more people have a little more capacity for open-mindedness, especially because now we live in a time where you have no excuse to be ignorant. When anything that you'd like to anything that you're curious about, you can quite literally access it with the click of a finger. And when I mention identity, that could be nationalistic identity, that could be your gender identity, your orientation, because all those things coincide with who you are. And so I feel that that is something that I would like to see, or that I would like to display more in my own artwork, because I feel that it's something that personally I tend to question a lot. And so I would like to sort of encourage other people, especially other younger or even older people. I want other people to feel inclined to have that discussion, to have these conversations.
Very cool. See, now we're getting heavy, so let me lighten it up a little bit. So I've been astonished by the work that you all created throughout the years, right? And one thing that really excites me is when you make a piece of artwork that surprises me. And I'm like, oh, wow, they're really talented. And they are really conceptually deep and like dealing with topics that I didn't know that they were interested in. Can you, or one of you, explain a artwork that you created that you were surprised, you surprised yourself and you were like, oh my God, this is the one right here?
My most recent piece, and one that I did exhibit here on Friday, it is my personal favorite for a lot of reasons, but in particular, I kind of like the subject matter that I tackled in it. So I don't know how familiar we all are with the concept of the 7 deadly sins. I admit I myself was not very conscious of them, and so I think that doing that piece allowed me to develop like a more concrete understanding of those sins and what they mean. And I also really like cartoons and I like dogs. So I'm like, let me take one thing that I'm curious about and these two other things that I like, and I'm gonna make a culmination of like this curiosity and adoration, and we're gonna see what I get out of that. So I found that, especially given an IB, I think that you're incentivized to completely like finish artwork. So one thing that surprised me about that finished piece was that it was done, and I feel that I had like a concrete product, which I think, in reference to me, I think I'm really happy with that, because I tend to fall victim to having a bunch of unfinished drafts just sitting anywhere in my home or on my iPad when I do art digitally. But I do feel as though the layout, and I think the color choice was very significant. I had to do a whole lot of research, so I'm glad that I came up with the coherent product at the end.
Thank you. Now, Edith, you've taken IB art and AP art now, right?
I've just taken AP art.
Oh, just AP. Okay. All right. So, and it's funny because I think of you as having taken both of those advanced courses, because you've been so advanced even in my drawing and painting course. So you are pretty fearless with the materials that you work with. Or can you describe one of the pieces that kind of surprised you, that kind of caught you off guard, like, oh my gosh, I'm really into this piece?
Like with the materials specifically?
Either with materials, content, subject matter, whatever you prefer.
I guess I like this recent one I did of like this like prehistoric creature called hallucigenia. It's like this like underwater worm type thing. And I did it like underwater with some lights and stuff like that. And I think it was I think it kind of perfectly showed like, how meaning can be in artwork. I think like sometimes when you're young, a meaning in artwork is described as being like a riddle, almost like, like there's an apple on the shelf, like what does that mean? It represents this. And it can be like that sometimes, but I've come to realize that, it's
it doesn't, the meaning and the feeling of the art doesn't have to be perfectly able to transcribe on a paper, and that's why it's a picture and not a poem. And I think that piece is kind of showing like how I can find some meaning in the piece, even when it's not like how I used to imagine me in art, where I imagine it's either like it's just something I did for fun, or it's like this complex riddle type thing. It's like it shows some feeling through like the odd creature being rendered in this way. It has like a peaceful feeling. It's also like kind of weird and zany. And I think like really like appealed to my personal taste and personal thought process of appreciating this creature, and using patterns and all that. But it's not like, you know, a riddle that can be solved in words. It's not like this means that society is like a worm or something like that, you know?
And I love the way that it developed, because when I think about where it started and all the materials you added to it and how it evolved, you literally grew this specimen of sorts. Like, so you brought it to fruition, and hopefully everybody can check it out. It's in the front of the gallery as we come in here. Andrea, so you've been out to some of the Youth Artist Program outings. How would you say, or why would you say the Youth Artist Program and those experiences are helpful potentially for your artwork?
So I only was attendance for one of the youth artist events.
Where did we go?
Unfortunately, that was when you were showing us the Art District of Atlanta. We went to the different art museums. It was really fun.
Was that the Zukai Gallery outing?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So we went to Zukai Gallery and Peachtree Station. What did you take away from those experiences?
I took away that I feel like some people may not realize like how prevalent art is, how art surrounds us, how art is everywhere. So I just felt like when I was there, just every corner I turned, it was just filled with art. It was so amazing. Like it was so nice. And it made me, I already knew, but it just made me realize on another level how significant art is and how much life that brings in, how much like emotion that can bring into life, like how it can just make life seem full.
Absolutely. And that was a very special day, because literally Castleberry Hill held up to its art district standards. I think there was an art festival going on. We went to Zukai Gallery. We went to Peachtree Station. Maya Bailey gave us a private tour of Nina Baldwin Gallery and Old Rabbit and all that. Just to kind of wrap it up with you all today, I'm always curious to see where you're going to end up, because you all are so intelligent that you could truly do anything, right? But where do you see yourself, not this time next year, but rather, let's say 2 years from now, after you graduated?
Wow, again, loaded question. Well,
I'm full of them. Okay.
Look, so I'm anticipating that I will be going to college, you know, out of state. Thanks, Mom. I think she would prefer it if I wasn't close to home so that I can develop that sort of independence. And so I'm hoping that in that independence, you know, I do find a little bit more, you know, in terms of like my identity. I need to figure out what works for me. I need to find my community. So I do envision that I definitely will be dedicating most of my time to, you know, studying. But I think in the downtime, I definitely will be, you know, visiting lots of art museums, just sort of consuming art, taking part in it. Because even during my formative years, I sort of clung to art as like, you know, a means of escapism, a means of catharsis. It's played a very important role. So it would be remiss of me to neglect it even into adulthood. So despite the fact that I do kind of want to go into a career that is heavily rooted in science, that doesn't mean that I'm going to completely rule out art, because like that would be compromising a very important portion of who I am, and I can't do that.
And I feel like you're gonna come back and say, Mr. G, I changed my major. I'm majoring in art, you know, but I'm not gonna put that on you, but you know, we'll see. Edith?
Well, I think that like doing the youth artist program and stuff has really affected my aspirations of when I'm older. Like it was showing me like the local art scene and stuff, and how many events and like community there can be. So I really want to, like, as I grow older, to be involved in that. Like, I think I'll definitely be drawn to that. I'm going to college within the state, and I'm probably going near Atlanta. So I think even if I don't end up working in that space, I definitely want to participate in my adulthood and attend those events and all that. And if um, that's going to happen if I go to college near Atlanta. But if I don't, then I think that I will definitely want to discover the art scene that's around me wherever I end up going to college.
And I appreciate that. An appreciation for art is all I ask. Please.
So in 2 years, my plan actually sounds somewhat similar to Michaela's actually. So I was like, oh my gosh, she's saying everything I'm gonna say. So I do want to go to college, and while art may not be what I want to go into career-wise, I'm never gonna put it down. It's always gonna go with me wherever I go. Like maybe I may be studying in some type of history, but art is always gonna be there. I put the notebook down and I pick up the sketchbook. So I'm always gonna keep art with me, even though it's not gonna be a main focus in my life.
That's very cool. Like I actually have exhibited with dentists, folks that are in the military, nurses. I mean, you have no idea like what you can still do, and while at the same time do your artwork. So this is great. Thank y'all so much for joining me today, and we're going to wrap up for today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. You can leave your mics right there. And Christian and Tamina, will you all come on down? Thank you. Yeah, if you want to take your water. Hey. What's up? Okay. So we are skipping forward, let's say a generation. These are amazing former students, people that have participated in the Youth Artist Program and are now in adulthood. And yeah, I guess hopefully we'll get a glimpse into how the Youth Artist Program potentially impacted them. I've got Christian Alexander to my left, and to the left of him, Tamina Green, amazing former Westlake students as well. And I guess Christian got a more interesting background than that, so I'll let you explain in a second. So one, just getting right into it, can you, Christian, explain how you've gotten to this point, but specifically focus on like your education and professional background, just up to this point and what you're doing now? Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. I'm nudging too. Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Check. Okay, cool. That was a loaded question.
Yeah, like, listen, like we do this, okay?
Yeah.
Like, but these are the same questions I ask in class.
Okay, so you said education and career?
Yeah, I mean, like you left Westlake High School,
Yeah.
and that's the last I know.
Yeah. Okay, so after Westlake, I went to Langston Hughes High School, studied art there, transferred to Charles Drew Charter School, studied there. They wouldn't let me use regular glue or regular paint, so I went back to Langston Hughes and just raided all their closets, and fell in love with art. I was really good at all my other subjects, had straight A's, had like 3.85 GPA, full academic scholarship. So I was studying engineering at first, and then I would just be drawing pictures all in class, just drawing the whole day away. Still getting my grades in. I'm like, there's something I need to be doing other than solving everyone else's problems. So changed my major to art and never looked back. All the doors started flying open as soon as I chose art. So I never regretted any of it ever.
And what area of art are you working in now? Or what things are you doing in art now? Sorry.
I'm doing a lot of different things in art. So I'm designing clothes, upcycling. I do large scale portraits and mural work. A lot of commission. I do graphic design professionally. Tapping into animation a little bit just for fun, and comic book writing. And Yeah, I'm actually a published poet, believe it or not. So thank y'all. Working on a full illustrated book, kind of like Sel Silverstein, like Where the Sidewalk Ends, something like that. But black, very black.
So you got like 10 hats under there.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you. Tamina, I know that you graduated quite a few years after Christian, by the way. All right, like you're an elder now, by the way, sir. So Tamina, after Westlake, where'd you go?
After Westlake, I went to Parsons School of Design and majored in illustration. And maybe like 2020, the year when everything shut down, I decided to learn how to knit because it's something I always wanted to do. And then I really just got into textiles after that. Like I learned how to crochet, and then I made my whole thesis around crochet. And ever since then, I kind of been really into textiles. So right now I'm tackling cross stitch. My mom taught me how to do it. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be really cool. But my main gig is I like to make tapestries. Just like right now, I'm trying to like, I guess you say archive like family portraits in that way and kind of like keep them alive and more than just one media. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing.
Very cool. And do you have other educational plans or professional plans coming forth, or what you got? What you got going? What do you think?
I don't know. I wanted to go to grad school, but I don't really think I'm gonna do that. So I'm kind of just trying to figure out what I want to do artistically and professionally. Does that make sense?
Okay, absolutely. Christian, your style is like fairly unique. Like I haven't actually seen an artist working with the different mixture of kind of line quality that I see in your work. How did you even get to the point where that developed? Like, how did your style develop?
Check. Okay, cool. Okay. I spent a lot of time in college by myself. So alone in the dorm room, long nights, just working. I like to say I found God on a blank sheet of paper. Just respect. And it got to one point I was working so much that I started affecting my health. Like I was spray painting in a room and then waking up and my throat is like clogged up. So it's a lot of things I had to learn in that regard what not to do in certain spaces because I just wanted to try everything. And I think my heavy pull towards experimentation really influenced my style because nothing was really out of the ordinary or out of reach or as a thought like I can't do it, And the fluidity of my line work really came from me trying to paint as I draw and trying to draw as I paint and just really pushing myself beyond different boundaries that have been placed on me growing up, learning how to create artwork.
Well, hopefully I didn't apply any of those boundaries.
Not at all.
But I will highlight Christian for his support with a couple of my murals around town. I remember there was a time we were working on a mural on Peter Street, and I was having the darndest time with this ribbon rendering. And Christian was like, I've been practicing ribbons. Let me do that for you. And like, he just worked it on out. And the fact that you've been practicing really is one of the reasons why I have enjoyed working with you. I look forward to working with Tamina. So hopefully she doesn't go to school out of state and you'll be right here. I am curious. Okay, so Tamina, I remember you were one of the best graphic designers in our school. How in the world did we end up in textiles?
Crazy slope. I really just wanted to make like a granny square like jacket. Like that was all I was getting into it for. I was like, oh, that's dope. I want something like that to wear. And I just every time I learn like a new textile medium or a new medium in general, my favorite thing to do is try to make like a picture out of it. So when I started crochet, I was like, how can I make pictures doing this? And then I found this whole community of people that are doing it. And it's like, it's insane. And I just wanted to make like big pictures and the most detailed pictures with the most colors. And then I got into like using embroidery floss instead of yarn and kind
Can
of
you
like
explain that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so with the tapestries, it's like it's basically pixel art. Like you create a pixel art image and then each pixel you crochet it to make the final image. So now like yarn is pretty limiting because there's not as many like skin tones or like things like that. So I kind of like was trying to branch into embroidery floss just because it's like it's thinner. It can make a smaller picture but more detailed. So just trying to like branch out and try new things.
Is this at all therapeutic? Because
It's
this takes a
very
long time,
therapeutic
right?
and it's very slow. Yeah.
Okay.
It takes a really long time. But it's nice to just like do something that's so repetitive and then see the image come together is a really cool thing.
Okay. So I feel like time traveling right now, because right now I'm envisioning both of you at like 16. I can only imagine that you all are going to be some of the greats of your generation. So now I'm envisioning you at like 50. And I'm curious, what do you plan to bring to this generation? Like, I'm like, because, you know, we don't know, but we just got a little insight when the current Westlake students were up here. But now that you're all up here, like, what do you plan to bring with your artistry to this world?
I think a main, force that I try to bring with my artistry is freedom, and freedom to just try anything. You know, a lot of times when you think of art, you think of a certain process that you have to go through to create something. Like if you want to paint a sky, it has to be blue, or the ground has to be green or brown, and just pushing that envelope to where the sky can be brown. It depends if you're working in what are the other colors around it, or like what are the other shapes around it. Like, why can't a table be a 4-dimensional star? You know, so just different things like how can you think of things that are impossible and make them reality? So that's where I'm coming from.
Sound like a engineer still. Like,
yeah.
Still solving the world's problems.
Can't get away from that.
Okay. And Tamina?
I definitely think bringing like textiles to the youth would be really cool because it's not something that a lot of like younger artists do. And I've seen a little bit of it when I looked in the gallery in there, like people kind of branching out with what materials they use. And I didn't think it would be cool if like people started younger, because I remember younger, like I did want to learn how to crochet, but it just seemed like such a big hump. And I was scared to take that leap of like trying something that wasn't like me just trying to like paint something or draw something. And I was scared to like fail. And I think honestly, like when you're younger, it's scary to like experiment at that age, even though that's the best age to do it, because I know for me, at least, my mom would pay for stuff. So like if I went to the store, like when we did the youth artist program, just like if at that time I had more like thought to like, let me try something new while I'm not like losing anything by doing it. If that makes sense.
It does make sense. I'm glad you brought it back to the Youth Artist Program. So I am curious if there was any impact on your, you know, your artistic upbringing and what that might have been from that program potentially.
Oh, for sure. I hated painting until you showed me that colors didn't have to be used in like a specific way. Like I think you're like, put greens in the shadows because it's a darker color, and my brain just blew. I'm like, what? You can do that? And from then I was like, okay, what else can we do that's not typically taught to everyone? So and then also I heard y'all mention governor's honors earlier, and I got to experience that for a summer. And one thing that I took from there, just thinking of all the teachings that really left an impact on me, I was taking an abstract course, and the teacher was like, okay, that looks nice, but how can you give the middle finger to it? And I was like, what? He was like, how can you disrespect your piece and just really turn it into something that it doesn't want to be, and just really challenge yourself? Yeah, so that's where it came from. But
that was a good teacher. Who was that?
Yeah. I forgot his name. I just knew he was like short and stocky. He could never help me hang my paintings up as high as I needed him to go. Yeah, but he really like
other strengths.
He really pushed me to push beyond like the box that I built for myself. You know.
Tamina, you got any memories from Youth Artist Program?
Yeah, I think honestly, just being surrounded by other people who want to make art is a big thing when you're younger. And I also really enjoyed like seeing the different applications of art. Like they were talking about earlier, like you go to all the museums and you just see so much art, and then you're downtown and you see like murals and paintings and graphic design. And it's just like knowing that there's options out there, that you don't have to do like, you know, just a normal job for the rest of your life, that you can like branch out and like be artistic even in a regular career. Like you can always just have inspiration all around you, I think is really good. And it was nice having like that encouragement aspect too, of like you can be an artist. Like being an artist is not like a death sentence. Like like I used to be so scared of like saying that I wanted to be an artist, because teachers that weren't like art teachers would be like, you got to think something else. Like you can't just like, it's not really a thing to do. But I was like, no, like the youth artist program was really inspiring for me because it was like other people that also want to be artists, and then being in a space where like you're encouraged to make things all the time.
Okay, very cool. Last thing I'm gonna ask. So this is actually now on my list. So you all had experiences with Mr. Cole, Kevin Cole, right?
Yeah.
Like so, like he was still teaching at Westlake when you were both there,
Yeah.
right? What impact did he have on your work, or just even your artistic experience?
Mr. Cole was the first time I ever got critiqued, and it was like not like just all peaches and cream, like. And I think it really helped me, honestly. Like he would see things in my work that I didn't even notice or even try to think about, and he would just say it like straightforward, and he wouldn't like sugarcoat it or anything. And his projects were really interesting too, because he would always have you doing something that seemed like straightforward artistically, like with the gridding. He would take an image and like grid it and draw it out, but then he would like, I don't know, turn on his head. It felt like there was no like, you were going in thinking, this is the project I'm doing, this is what I need to achieve, and he'd look at it and give you a different goal. And it was like always something interesting. He kept me on my toes for sure.
Very cool. Now, did you have Mr. Cole at all?
I never had Mr. Cole as a teacher, but he definitely tore my pieces apart in front of my face.
Yeah.
Like I think one time he called my piece mud. He was like, "This is mud." I'm like, "Really?" And I was like, I felt so good about the piece, but after I took it home, I sat down. I'm like, "It is kind of muddy. I didn't clean my brushes." So yeah, I understand. And he would always be, he would make sure you're paying attention to the detail that you're trying to achieve. Like if you have perspective lines, do perspective lines. Like don't make the lines go make it make sense. Basically, make what you're trying to do make sense and do it with intention. And that's really like what I got from his critiques.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, we all got critiques from Mr. Cole, and it's one of the, he set the bar high, and one of the things we tried to learn from him, and I speak from experience myself as well. Very cool. Where can we find you all on social media, or what do you have coming up?
Okay, you can find me on socials at I am Bam, IIAMMBAM. It's very out there, but yeah, that's me. What I have coming up, Artful, I'm showing at Artful ATL June.
Okay.
Be showcasing clothes for a change, or normally I showcase paintings. So
June 7th,
June 7th.
Atlanta
Yeah.
Contemporary.
Yep. Like I said, I'm working on that poetry book. What else am I doing? You'll figure it out. I mean, I'll figure it out. It's always something in the works. There's a lot of things that aren't completed yet, but they're in motion. So, yeah.
Tamina?
I'll be at Artful too. So shout out that.
ATL? Okay.
Yeah.
Artful ATL. Look at y'all. And there's no bias here. Y'all are just like sick
Yeah.
with it, and that's great. We're happy to have you. What's your IG or?
Oh, my IG is Mina with 2 A's .Lisa. And I'll also be doing a show with Charity, Community Cares. So that'll be cool too. It's in June too. I think it's the 13th.
Okay, very cool. That's awesome. I guess we'll open it up to questions from the audience at this point, if anyone is interested.
Thank you both for all that you shared. Thank you for all that you give back to, just in terms of the Youth Artist Program and things that have happened later. But if you had any words of wisdom, as you all are, I'm imagining 4 to 8 years beyond the students who were up here before, anything that you would like to offer them, or things you wish you had known as a junior, senior in high school?
Okay. Look for things that you're afraid of and go close to them, because next to fear is where you're closest to God. So if you ever want to grow, find what you're afraid of and go right next to it and run head first.
As an adult, that scares the bejesus out of me, by the way. The fact that you just said that, I'm like, no, stay.
But it's important, yeah. Especially if you're trying to figure out who you are, you can't be afraid to, I don't know, be loud with yourself, and stand up for who you are and what your teachings are. So for sure, run head first. You'll be all right.
My advice is in the same vein. Just try everything. Like even in your social life, like if your friends are like, let's go to this party, you don't like parties, pull up. You never know who will be there, what you'll see. I think and honestly, they gave some good advice too that I hadn't thought about. Is like, you spend so much time trying to find meaning in work, or at least sometimes I do. And honestly, the meaning is like already embedded in the piece, whether you know it or not, I feel like. So that was some good advice I got from them.
Can I throw one more in there?
Please, please.
As an artist, we get so caught up sometimes in making the work that we forget to experience life, and that's where inspiration comes from. So you do have to go to those parties, you know, you do have to hang out and really experience life, so that when you sit back at an easel, you have things to pour onto it, you know.
Okay, y'all not so different from my generation. Okay, I get that. I do love that Madison Coleman is here, current Westlake student, also would work in the show. Since you have the mic, I am curious, can you explain the piece in the gallery that's closest to the front where there is a sneaker and then there's a self-portrait of you underneath it?
Okay.
Because that's captivating, by the way.
Okay, so that's loud. Basically, that piece was like basically because in society and in white America, you have white people or any other race basically like pushing certain stereotypes and social standards on you that you have to uphold, but in reality they're holding you down because they don't want you to like get to a certain point. And that's typically how it is throughout most people, like most African Americans' whole lives. So the foot it has a Air Force on it, a Nike Air Force, to pay like to Black culture, because a lot of people are like, we're sneakerheads, like that's what you think. So it's like stepping on my head, me, a black child, trying to hold me down and keep me from getting to a certain point in my life.
And is that piece for sale? Is that not for sale?
It's for sale.
That piece is for sale, everyone. Excellent. Good to know. No, that's a very powerful piece.
Thank you.
And did you have a question? I'm sorry.
Oh, yes. So I want to get out of my my comfort zone, because in my art I tend to do a lot of the same things and use the same materials. So how did you like you know, get over that?
How do we jump?
Yeah.
If you're used to using, say, paint, try a dry medium, because it's different. You can't really layer it. You know, it's different ways to approach different mediums, and it'll cause your brain to rewire itself so that when you do go back to painting, you approach it from a dry medium standpoint, you know. And so just keep trying different things and try to say the same thing from different forms. And yeah, and even if you're not a poet, try writing, you know, rewire your brain for sure.
I would say honestly consume a lot too. Like look at a lot of art and see like what inspires you about it, and also see like when you're looking at something that you want to try or something that's scary, I feel like writing down what you think is scary about it and then kind of like attacking it from that angle could be interesting too. That's something I do a lot.
I have a question for Mr. G.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've
name, don't wear it out.
You've been an educator, working with these students and, you know, doing this program for a couple of decades now. You asked your students, was there something that they have done that surprised them? Is there something that you've encountered in your journey as an educator that has surprised you?
So around 2:00 today, I moderated a panel, and that is not me. So if anybody knows Mr. G would prefer to do this in the classroom privately, but this is a big step for me, and Sohei always makes me do it. So I built a bridge recently because I paint bridges and structures and things of that nature, and painting them wasn't enough. I built a bridge, and it was amazing, and we walked across it. I think some of us were at that show. And yeah, like all the things that Christian and Tamina are talking about, stepping out and exploring, I'm literally still going through right now. And it feels really good to feel like a teenager. And that's pretty awesome. Yeah. So thank y'all. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. I have a question as a parent, because as parents, we're out there in the real world, and it is scary to say you want your child to be an artist. You just said you leaped from being an engineer to full-blown being an artist. How did your parents support you, or how can a parent be more supportive? Because I know you're in transition, you haven't quite figured it out, but I'm assuming your parents are supporting you. So as children, how can a parent be more supportive of a child that is different from you? I was an athlete. Art was not a part of my thing. Okay. So, you know, when a parent or when a child is much different than you and you want to be supportive, what advice would you give to parents to be more supportive of the direction you want to go in, and then not be so, well, I don't think you can stop the fears, but in my mind, if you were to tell me, hey, I don't want to do engineering anymore, I'm gonna go straight into art, as a parent, I would be scared. I think that would be natural. But what advice would you give to parents that if your child does change their mind because they think, which I kind of went through that. My dad wanted me to be a superintendent. I was a college basketball coach. He wasn't a fan. Okay, so I did go through that a little bit, but artists, that's kind of a, like you said, you had teachers saying don't do it. As a parent, how can you be more supportive of a child that wants to do that full time?
Well, I think times has definitely changed where you can fully support yourself on art even without stepping out the house. There's so many avenues of art that it can take you down, like from just product design, package design, YouTube header designs. You can make money off of that, like real financial growth off of that. And so I guess as a parent, you just want to always, I guess, so I'll tell you about myself. So my mom is a registered nurse. My father does like security for the mayor, not artistic. Like, I mean, they used to be back in the day, but when I told him I wanted to change my major, my dad said, just make sure you're the best. Whatever you do, just full steam ahead, give all your heart to it. And I think that encouragement of you believe in me enough to think that I could be the best made me want to be the best, you know? So just that emotional support is really at the end of the day, and then like buy them supplies. That's honestly the best two things: emotional support, and then just supplies. Yeah, we're gonna need those, or else we're gonna be eating crayons. So sometimes.
I definitely feel the same way. My mom is a lawyer, and so she's definitely my practical side. I feel like that's very helpful too, is like to have somebody to keep you grounded in the more practical aspects of being an artist. She's always talking about you need to start an LLC. If you're going to be selling hats, you need to. Yeah. So I feel like, but I always know that she's there for me. If that makes, like, I can always feel that like she's supporting me and cheering me on. And like when your kid shows you their art, you got to be like, more than that's cool. Like you got to be like, oh, I like how you did this. It's definitely very like, they want to know that you're there and they want to know that you're paying attention to what they're doing. And I feel like that's the most important part. Everything else, like, just still be the same mom you were when they were being an engineer, you know?
And ask them questions about their art, because an important part of selling art is explaining it. And so if they can explain it to you, then they can better explain it to someone else where they might not be in a comfortable situation to explain it. So
I have a question for you, George. Yep. As an educator, how are you like continuing to bridge the generational gaps, like to stay connected to your students in a way that they're receiving you, you're helping them nurture their voice and their identity? Like what things have really helped you keep the connection? Because I can tell you have very good relationships with your students. So what have been some of those things that have continued to do that for you?
Well, I do feel more and more like Mr. Cole every day. Like, you know, getting as a senior, I'm like to a point where I want to give them like college level critiques, and you know, it's a curmudgeon. But I will say that explain to them that I'm not just a teacher. Like, and I know that sounds harsh because being a teacher is everything. I mean, you're impacting lives forever, you know, in a good way, bad way, whatever, right? But I'm willing to learn with them. Like, I'm willing to like tell them about, we was in Morocco last weekend and we went to this art fair, and like, you know, this band came out and we were looking at the stars in the desert, and they're interested. And then they open up and they tell me, man, we went to Morocco last weekend. I'm surprised we didn't see you. Cause like, I'll tell you, like the level of fluency at Westlake is sick. I've never seen a school like this in my life. The community out there pours into it. and it's 99% Black, but the demographic, economically, and the range even, like, really creates this really interesting pool of creativity and love and support. And like the students there, like, they really think that they can do anything, like, really, and there's like no limitations. I've got students that made more money than me last year, and it's mind-blowing because I'm like, how did you do that on Instagram? You know, show me. Right? Yeah, like, you know, you have classmates that, yeah, like, bought their car in cash and it was new and they didn't borrow any money from their parents, and things like that are wild to me. So I'm excited about them, so they get excited about me, and we share information, and it breaks down a lot of those walls and barriers. Yeah.
I feel like, Mr. G, you also always have opportunities to like volunteer or work. I feel like you're always like, oh, come, I'm having this gallery show, pull up and help me do this or help me do that. It's always like keeping me like in the community in a way like that.
Thank you. All right. So I guess we will close out, but I thought that, did you have, yeah, please, Dr. Fama Paku.
Okay.
The stage is yours.
I thought you might have had some closing words before I said anything, but
I wish I did. Thank you both for being here today with us. And
Thank you for having us.
And I'll pass the mic to my man.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Fahamu Paku. I'm the founder and executive director of ADAMA, but it's not about me. It's about this man right here, Mr. George Galbreath. Please give him a hand for the wonderful, wonderful work that he's doing with these young people. For Christian and Tamina, please give them a hand as well, and to the other students who came up and spoke. I'm going to say a few words. I'm going to try not to go to church here, but I think this is important. What we saw here today was really, for me, I'm a bit emotional, actually, to see not only the level of creativity and expression of the young artists that are featured in this exhibition, but to also hear them speak so eloquently about their work, so passionately about their work, so thoughtfully about their work. I also think that the perspectives that they offer around, embracing fear, challenging oneself, pushing yourself beyond your limitations and outside of the boxes that you create for yourself, I think is what Christian said. This is what art is about, right? Art is really just problem solving. And a lot of times we look at art as if it's something over there. It's, oh, that's over my head. I don't really know what that's talking about. But art is just expressions of who we are, right? And it takes multiple forms. Sometimes it's visual, sometimes it's sonic, sometimes it's physical, but it's always about who we are. And as I always say, in the future, historians will tell what happened, but artists will tell how it felt. This is important. What these young people are doing is important, not just for the sake of having a career or making money, but for the connections that it makes for all of us, not just now, but also in the future, and how it connects to our past. This is critical work that these young people are doing, and your support of them means everything. I'm also a practicing artist. I've been doing this for close to 30 years as my sole profession, right? And to understand the ways in which art has allowed me to move around the world and to build connections with people in spaces, places that I've never even been to before. And I have, people corresponding with me and, interested and exciting in the things that I do. It makes me remember that what I do is not just a job, it's a purpose, right? And so to have also parents here who are supporting their young people, believing in them, and then also having the opportunity to see their students have a real world experience with their artwork. It goes beyond just being an abstract concept into something that's very concrete and something very real. And so I encourage you all to not just continue to support these young people in their dreams and passions, but also support institutions like ADAMA. Bring your young people out. Even if you don't understand, bring them, come, be confused, be offended, right? But have conversations, because this is what art is about. So I want to say thank you to everyone for being here today. And please give a big round to the parents that are here for pouring into their young people. And again, a big round of applause to all of the artists who participated in the exhibition. It's a fantastic exhibition. And again, I just want to say thank you for everyone for your continued support of ADAMA. We have a new exhibition opening this coming Friday called Double Feature. It's an exhibition of vintage blaxploitation movie posters and memorabilia. It'll be really, really exciting to see and to be in conversation with all of the other programs that we have been doing here. The show is curated by Rick Ross, not Rick Ross, the rapper, but another Rick Ross. But it will be a fantastic show. We hope to see you here. That'll be Friday at 7 p.m. Please tell your friends, come on out. There'll be lots of programming around the exhibition as well. Also, be sure to support ARTful ATL, which is happening June 7th at the Atlanta Contemporary, which is another project and program by George and George Galbreath that pours into the local and emerging arts community. And so we're really, really grateful to be able to support them in everything that they do. Thank you guys for all of that. And again, enjoy the rest of your day. Please check out the exhibition, which is up for until today. So this is your last chance to view it. But again, thank you to all the students from Westlake and all the teachers, parents, and students who have participated. And thank you for supporting ADAMA.
Excellent job. Congratulations. Congratulations.